Good morning. We had completed till verse 56, the Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. So we were talking about a sage whose mind is not disturbed. And he has altogether given up his pleasure and he is free from passion, fear and anger, and that is called the stable mind. The term yoga stands for equanimity of mind. This is what we had done till yesterday. So today we will start the next verse. So we are doing Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 57. He who is unattached to everything and meeting with good and evil neither rejoices nor recoils, his mind is stable. When you are unattached to anything, that means there is no specific need for us to feel that this is ours. You are not supposed to take anything personally. So the sage who doesn't take things personally and is unattached, such kind of a sage is said to be realized. Everything that the sage sees in the material world is qualified by an inexperienced person as good and evil. So, if we have to look at certain incidents happening around us, so the incident of a professor from New York College, she went around taking a machete and running on the streets. So what does this incident mean to us? Is it good or is it evil? Now the moment you say it is not good because she got disqualified from her college, she had thrown the books around when some people were talking about for and she was talking against. This is about abortion and various other things. Now, what is right in this? The question which arises in the minds of people is abortion right or wrong? Is wielding this machete right or wrong? It's a big knife. You can't threaten people. She threatened a newspaper scribe from Washington Post. Now, what is right and what is wrong in this? What is good and what is evil? So the sage doesn't involve himself in this action. He sees this action in a very neutral way. He doesn't give his reaction at all. Please remember, what he does is with unattachment. He is not attached to anything. So if you were to ask, is abortion right or wrong? A sage will say, I don't care about it. It doesn't matter. Why? Because the right and the wrong is for the material worldly people. For the spiritually perfect, there is neither right nor wrong. His logic is very clear. Everything happens by the will of God. If everything happens by the will of God, the right or the wrong is also the will of God, isn't it? Then how can it be right and how can it be wrong? It is just a happenstance. It happens. So if it happens, there is no need of getting upset about it or getting attached to anything. So the person is not at all attached to whether it is good or bad. And then he says, he neither rejoices nor recoils. Now what is recoil in this case? There is a war going on. there are so many people getting killed. Innocent people are getting killed. That means women, children, the bombs are falling, these children are dying, the women are dying, people who are not at all involved in the war are dying. So naturally you will say that this is not a good thing. And when you say that it is not the good thing, but the sage on the other hand says, what can I do about it? I am not involved in the action because I am detached. He is withdrawn from this action. Everything is happening by the will of God. So, that is the reason why his mind is stable. Now, some people will have this understanding that having this kind of a view is not correct. You will say, you got to take a stand. So, what is the stand a person is supposed to take? Is a person supposed to say that I am for this or am I against this? It's neither this nor that. Those who are indifferent towards everything, those who have absolutely no attachment to anything, are not bound by the results also. So it really doesn't matter. The realized soul understands that everything is God's gift to mankind. Now you may say, what is this bad gift to mankind? So was God responsible for bringing in the plague? You see, in some of the other scriptures it's written that God brought the plague, God brought this, floods, and everything was flooded and everything, all the plague destroyed mankind. Even here in India, the kingdoms of Mohenjo-daro, Harappa were destroyed. So what is a sage supposed to do? A sage's job is not to get involved in it. But let us say he is in Mohenjo-daro when this is happening. I want you to think like that. Or he is in Ukraine when the bombs are dropping. Or he is there in New York subway or wherever when that lady was threatening. What is he supposed to do? Valid question. Now, at that given moment in time, whatever happens to others happens to him as well. When Mohenjo-daro became dry, no water, everybody perished. He will also perish. Right? Now in Ukraine, when the bombs are falling, if everybody is dying, he is also going to die. Same thing with Nagasaki and Hiroshima. When the atom bomb was dropped, he also would be dead if he was there at that point in time. Then is he supposed to take the sides? Is he on the side of one or the other? Please understand, he is neither. Nor on this side, nor on that side. Things are happening. He realizes the truth. The truth is that it is Maya's way of doing things. Maya is nothing but the potency, the illusory potency of God. Remember these words. Everything happens under the Chhatra Chhaya, that is the aegis of Maya. And Maya is the Lord himself. And because Maya is doing all these things, why should a person be upset? It is the way. That is how it is supposed to happen. So we don't have to get involved in that action. We can be one of the victims of the action. Doesn't matter. It is all a dream. This is the understanding a person should have. Now please remember this word. It is an understanding you should have. The understanding is knowing that everything is unreal. Now see the word self-realization. There is only the self. And knowing that there is only the self, a person is indifferent to all the things that are happening around him. So a sage who is self-realized person is indifferent to everything. He is not attached to the right or the wrong, the good or the evil. He is not attached to anything. According to him, it is the will of the Lord. So I hope you understood this verse. We'll go to the next one. We are doing chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, verse 58. When, like a tortoise that draws in its limbs in all directions, he withdraws all his senses from the sense objects, his mind becomes steady. You know, have you seen a tortoise? Some people call him tortoise. Doesn't matter. A tortoise, a tortoise, or whatever you want to call him. Okay. You know, when you try to knock him, he withdraws everything inside the shell. All his legs and his head also. He goes inside the shell and becomes a round ball. So he is covering himself with a hard shell. So Shri Krishna is giving a very beautiful example. The self-realized person is exactly like this. He withdraws himself from all actions. There are so many things happening in this world. There are fights over films, just because some film is released. There are fights over religion. There are fights over mosque. There are fights over temples. There are people who are fighting over political gains. There are people who are fighting against black money. There are too many things going on in this world. Financial, political, emotional, everything. There are too many things happening. So as these things are happening in this world, a realized being who is a sage is like a tortoise. He withdraws himself from all direction. He doesn't involve himself in any action. So what does he do? He draws in the limb from all direction. He withdraws all his senses from the sense object. Then his mind becomes steady. The sense and the sense objects are there. So let us try to understand this. There are people in front of this individual who are fighting for and against God. Lots of things happening like this, isn't it? Somebody is saying that I believe in God, and somebody is saying I don't believe in God. Now both these people are carrying out a very, very wild kind of a dialogue. And then it comes to blows also, which normally happens in this world. People don't stop at just verbal argument. They start raining blows on each other, and finally they can take whatever extreme step that they want. At such point in time, this particular individual who is a sage is sitting over there. He doesn't get drawn into any argument anywhere. Nowhere. He doesn't get drawn into any argument. He just withdraws himself. Doesn't involve himself in any of these talks. He doesn't give positive or negative feedback also. There is no need of feedback also. So withdrawing himself, he becomes totally detached. And he doesn't say anything on anybody's behalf. And when he does this, he draws his senses inwards. The senses and the sense objects, what are these? Now let us take for example the eyes. What do the eyes do? The eyes have vision, that is the sense. The ear has hearing, that is the sense. The nose has smelling, that is the sense. Tongue, tasting. Tasting is the sense. What is the object? I took the name of the object first, and second I took the name of the sense. Got it? Eyes. An object which is connected to the outer object, whatever the object could be. So the eyes are seeing a riot happening in front of him. Right? So the object is drawing that thing inwards. The eyes saw something happening. But when the vision inwards is drawn inwards, nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens, which means there is no reaction. Similarly, hearing from the ears are the object. Now when I hear something, somebody deriding someone else, oh, this one is like that one is like that, you keep on hearing this. The wise man is not to be drawn in that. It is the unwise and the material worldly people who get drawn in that action. The foolish kind of people will involve themselves in the action. And they perform karma. See the last words over here. Verse number 56. Stable of mind. Verse number 57. Mind is stable. Verse number 58. The mind becomes steady. Did you see what is written in the last few words? The word is called mind. It's a very, very critical and an important word. You have to remember this word very, very importantly. Why? When your eyes are seeing, if the sense is withdrawn, there is no communication with the mind. No communication. Because you are cutting off the communication. The network is cut off. When you are hearing somebody deriding someone, you are not listening to it because your hearing is withdrawn inwards. And when it is withdrawn, the senses are not reacting because the connection between the mind is cut off. Similarly, the way in which the nose smells, if the action called smell is cut off from the mind, a person will have no idea about smell. Likewise, the tongue. The tongue has two functions. I'm sure you know that. One is of taste and second one is speech, action. First is organ which is connected to the senses. Second one is called the organ of action, which is speech. Both the organs are the same. Tongue. Yeah, you can say vocal cords or whatever you want to, larynx. Well, let us come back to the truth. The same organ need not react. Cut off that action. So when you taste, you don't have to react to it. The organ connected after that, remember, is the mind. When the connection between the two is broken, the mind doesn't react. So in the 3 verses that I spoke to you just now, the word that is important is called the mind. Got it? This word is very important for us. Mind has to be withdrawn. No reaction in the mind. Got it? When a person doesn't react, he becomes a sage. But when the person reacts to it, shows some kind of action, when he sees somebody fighting, he wants to take up the sword and fight himself, or the gun, or whatever. It is reaction. His mind has come into the picture. If you are hearing shouting going on and you are getting involved in the action and you also want to join in, there is a group of people who are deriding people from other communities, and you take part in that lecture or whatever that is happening, that argument that is happening, please remember, you are the most unwise person. These are the 3 verses which are telling us very clearly, do not become unwise, do not become a fool. The repercussions are going to be very, very dangerous. This is not understood by man. The moment you get involved in that action, even a little reaction from your side, you are now in a cumulative karma. And a new terminology. Cumulative karma. You will wonder, what are you talking about? What is cumulative karma? Well, it is a group karma. You see, you can see there's a crowd, and the crowd is involved in some action. They are looting a shop, and you take part in that action. Just because it's a free for all, you also take part in that action. And because you take part in that action, you are involved in a cumulative karma. All these people who looted that shop are going to be reborn. And they are going to face the music. And they have sanctioned themselves multiple births. Yesterday I was giving one very tremendous kind of a, example which is not good to hear. You know, in India there are lots of cases that are happening. Women are getting raped in some places. And not one. 4 or 5 people are involved. Just because it's happening, so they also jump in. That kind of a person who is saying, I am not responsible, sir. You are very much responsible. It is cumulative karma. You are going to hell in first place. And secondly, you are going to be born again and again and again, and you will be at the receiving end. So better be careful. So suppose if you are deriding someone, don't you think in your next life you are going to be deridden? Somebody is going to do that for you. There is no such word, but I am just saying it. Okay. You are going to be at the receiving end. And please be careful how you talk about others. Do not deride others. Do not speak ill about others. That is why Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't let your mind get involved in these actions. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very dangerous for you. You're going to be reborn again and again. We will move to the next verse. This is verse 59, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. Sense objects turn away from him who does not enjoy them with his senses, but the taste for them persists. The relish also disappears in the case of a man of stable mind when he realizes the Supreme. Okay. Now, in this verse, what is Sri Krishna telling us? Sri Krishna is telling us that when a person is realized, a person has reached the state of realization. Now, this person who is realized, Do you really believe that this person will be as if on a cloud and floating around all the place? Like that? You think he is going to be developing two wings and flying around like an angel? That's a very silly belief that we have. Please remember, a self-realized person looks normal. He behaves normally. He is not supposed to exhibit any qualities like, removing all kinds of magical stuff from the air. He is not allowed to do that. He is not allowed to tell the world, I am self-realized, and wear a halo on top of his head. No, that is the stupidest thing on earth a person can do. He is not supposed to be working around in lofty surroundings, sitting on a very big, throne-like thing, and wearing a kind of garb, like a turban, wearing gold chains, and bless you, my children. He doesn't do that. Do you really think Jesus Christ did that? I mean, that's the stupidest way of believing, that Jesus Christ moved around as if he's floating on a cloud and he glided across. Nothing like that happens. This is a wrong belief. You can't have Gautam Buddha with a round big halo behind his head and he's always serene with his eyes closed. That is the stupidest way. Gautam Buddha was never closing his eyes. Was he not awake? This is a wrong belief. We should never believe in this kind of systems. Everybody says, okay, the person who is realized must be somebody great. He should be wearing a different kind of clothes. Look at Sai Baba. He was wearing a kafni. Kafni means what, the white cloth which you put on a dead body. Kafani. It's a cloth put on a dead body. Funny thing, isn't it? Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to wear one simple dhoti. Okay, one piece of cloth. They don't wear fancy clothes. They don't go around with all that silk shawls and stuff like that. They move like normal human beings. So here Krishna is advising that this lofty person, whoever he is, a realized being, behaves like an ordinary person. He will have sense of taste also. He will say, can I have that rasgulla? Can I have that gulab jamun? These are sweets in India. Okay, can I have that? And when you look at him, you will say, he is enjoying his rasgulla or he is enjoying his gulab jamun. That means he is not realized. I mean, come on. He has to become a normal person. So a self-realized being is an absolutely down-to-earth, normal-looking person. No halo, no rings, nothing, no mustache or anything like that, big one or maybe long beard. I mean, I want you to think very carefully, logically. Please use a little brain and logic in this. Have you ever seen Sri Ram with a beard? No. Have you ever seen Shri Krishna with a beard? No. Do you think they shaved? Must be, we don't know. So the idea that a realized person should have a long flowing beard, I mean, isn't that what they show in the movies? A realized sage with long beard. Buddha also, you can't consider Buddha with a beard. Can you think of Jesus Christ with a beard? I can't dream of him with a beard and all that kind of nonsense, when some wearing fancy clothes and moving around. I can't think like that. You also should understand, if there is some person who is behaving like this, thinking that he is a realized person, then that person is making a fool of you. So here Sri Krishna is advising very clearly, this person has to behave normally. His senses that are there, so he will hear everything. Okay? He will taste everything. He will smell everything. He will see everything. He can feel the touch at all points in time. So if you give him one tight slap, he's going to say, oh, he's going to say that. Or if his hand burns, he's going to feel that burn. So then what does it mean by realization? Simple words. No connection with the mind. Just understand this. There is no connection with the mind. You will see him enjoying the fruit also. Whatever he eats, you will see him enjoying it. It is only a play. It's not real. He has to act like a normal person. Please remember this. He is not allowed to act like some great, person like I told you in the beginning itself. He is not floating on anything. He is not allowed to. So he becomes a normal person. With his mouth, he can taste everything. So this verse where he says, sense objects turn away from him who does not enjoy them with his senses. There is no enjoyment per se, but the taste for them persists. The taste will be there, but there is no enjoyment in him. Did you get it? The taste is there, no enjoyment. So the connection between the mind and the senses is cut off. The relish also disappears in the case of the man of stable mind when he realizes the Supreme. He doesn't relish it. He just says, okay, that's a good thing. That's it. There is no great reaction. He's not going to jump with joy. Yay, I did it. This is not graduation ceremony that you have to throw your cap in the air and take some pictures with people. No, nothing like that. You're just supposed to be okay, normal, all right. Thank you, fine. So we come to the end of verse 59. So we will stop over here.